achieved total surprise, and inflicted maximum damage in each established terror hub deep in Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir and heartland Pakistan, signaling that no sanctuary is safe. All this while all of Pakistan's effort to target our military infrastructure and bases came to a knot due to a very carefully and deliberately laid out air defense architecture. We planned, executed, and concluded a complex multi-domain operation in a remarkably compressed time frame. The operation also showcased indigenous capability. A significant percentage of the weapon systems, munitions, rockets and missiles, sensors, and electronic warfare suits that were employed were developed and produced in India. The BrahMos, Akash, advanced surveillance and targeting systems, along with homegrown ammunition and spares, all played a decisive role. Of our defense equipment is being manufactured domestically. I also want to speak here of our exit strategy and escalation control. In an era of prolonged conflicts around the world, we struck hard, achieved clearly defined objectives, and then decided to cease hostilities when the Pakistanis were compelled to negotiate and requested us to stop. The objectives were achieved through a calibrated shot and sharp shock that altered the enemy's risk appetite and disrupted his command and control, without locking India into a long-drawn war or conflict, the ill effects of which we are seeing in ongoing conflicts around the world. This measured approach reflects the maturity of our strategic culture and the professionalism of our armed forces. Finally, the operation placed enormous responsibility on every arm of the state. Intelligence agencies provided the accurate information that is so critical to precision targeting. Cyber and electronic warfare units maintained information dominance. The government managed the international environment, as also the internal security and public reassurance. The armed forces executed the kinetic phase with discipline, precision, and minimal collateral impact. This multi-agency, multi-domain coordination will remain the template for future operations. Operation Sindoor was not an end. It was just the beginning. और यहां पर जन कवि दुष्यंत कुमार त्यागी की एक मौलिक रचना का प्रभावशाली अंश मैं आपके सामने रखना चाहता हूं। सिर्फ हंगामा खड़ा करना मेरा मकसद नहीं, सिर्फ हंगामा खड़ा करना मेरा मकसद नहीं, मेरी कोशिश है कि ये सूरत बदलनी चाहिए। India's fight against terror, ladies and gentlemen, will go on. A year on, we remember not just the operation, but also the principle behind it. India will defend its sovereignty, its security, its people, decisively, professionally, and with the utmost responsibility. Jai Hind.
Good afternoon, friends. Today, it is 1 year and 15 days since the horrendous Pahalgam massacre. And as my friend Rajiv alluded, exactly 1 year since our first weapons hit the target. The Pahalgam incident in itself is an incident for which no amount of condemnation and no amount of repudiation will ever be enough. We cannot bring back our fellow countrymen who were massacred in cold blood on the 22nd of April 2025. But we can certainly resolve to ensure that such incidents are not repeated. Operation Sindoor, which remains paused, is an effort towards that resolve. Since times immemorial, we have lived with a simple philosophy of live and let live. But when our desire for peace is mistaken for weakness and our silence is taken as absence, there is no choice but to act. And when we act, there are no half measures. It is decisive, it is lethal, and it translates into Operation Sindoor. A decisive yet calibrated response targeting the perpetrators and their backers. As Rajiv has alluded, going into this operation, our higher directions were very, very clear. The objective was clear and the forces were given full operational freedom. Jointness was built into this operation from conceptualization to execution. The COC, which comprises of the CDS and the 3 service chiefs, deliberated every option and calibrated every decision. Thus, with an absolute clarity of action, a successful joint operation was launched to destroy the terror infrastructure in POJK as well as in Pakistan itself. And when that first weapon hit the target on the early morning of 7th May 2025, that decisive flash, ladies and gentlemen, was the strength and the resolve of the people of India being projected into the enemy heartland. It was partial justice being served to the families of the victims of that horrendous massacre in Pahalgam and many such incidents before that. Going into these operations, I remember focus into details of planning. The 3 of us met almost daily and on more than one occasions. Our aim was not just to hit. It had to be lethal, it had to be precise, avoiding collateral. Hence, selection of targets, timing, weapons to be used, everything needed to be carefully considered. And once that was done, execution was achieved with clockwork precision. A question which comes up time and again is, why did we agree to stop? I fully understand the angst of our people, especially the younger generation, given our experience with Pakistan. But allow me to clarify here. Our fight was with the terrorists and their support infrastructure. And that is what we hit, ensuring no collateral damage. We had achieved our objectives and our mission was complete. But when Pakistani establishment decided to side with terror and make it their own fight, we had no choice but to respond in kind. It was about self-defense, much beyond a counter-terror operation. When we responded, it was lethal and ruthless. And after taking the beating, sense kicked in the adversary, and they asked for cessation of hostilities. We paused when the request came, we stepped back, but we didn't blink. We had delivered the message, and the message was very clear. That is, misadventure will not go unanswered. Acts of terror will carry consequences. A lot of time this question comes up over the past 1 year. What are the lessons? Well, in the defense forces, we are continuously evaluating our options and drawing our lessons through exercises, training, and simulation. But of course, there is no better training ground than an actual operation itself. So we have also internalized what we encountered and taken them into our planning consideration. Some of them I can share with you. First, Operation Sindoor reaffirmed the primacy of air power. And when I say air power, it means everything that is in the air and not only Air Force. as the first responder and the dimension of choice for any nation. Second, it reasserted the salience of jointness and a whole of nation approach. It vindicated Indian Air Force's focus on precision targeting and net-centric warfare, with ICCS emerging as a clear enabler. Next, we are also able to see through our adversary. We now have first-hand confirmation of their capabilities, capacities, and tactics they intended to hide. So I'm sure there are worried a lot across there. A crucial lesson: nations forced into conflict must always have conflict termination criteria and strategy in sight. Otherwise, very soon you can go astray and do not realize how to terminate that conflict. Of course, we need to invest more in certain capabilities like space, unmanned systems, cyber. Some of these capabilities have already been addressed in the past 1 year, and we fully realize that Atmanirbharta, as my friend Rajiv alluded, is the way forward. So Indian Air Force relies heavily on indigenous technologies, and several measures are being taken to enhance partnership with defense PSUs and private industry. IF is an active participant of Mission Sudarshan Chakra, and we are working to build on the success of ICCS to provide this crucial capability to our country. Looking ahead, we continue the vigil, and IF will continue to be the first responder whenever our peace and tranquility is challenged, whenever our sovereignty is threatened. There is no distance too far, no depth too great, and no dimension we cannot dominate. At this instant, we are watching and could not be better prepared. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I consider it as a privilege to be amidst you on the first anniversary of Operation Sindoor, an operation that stands as a defining testament to India's resolve against terror and to the decisive strategic vision of our national leadership. As we reflect on its conduct, lessons, and our preparedness for the future, we do so not merely on a highly successful operation, but on the emergence of a new dimension of deterrence, offensive in mindset, swift in response, precise in execution, and resolute in purpose. Operation Sindoor underscored the strategic vision of our national leadership, which provided a precise and unambiguous mandate and the necessary operational freedom, enabling decisive kinetic action by the Indian Defence Forces. In the immediate aftermath of the dastardly Pahalgam attack, the Indian Navy transitioned rapidly to combat readiness, deploying the Carrier Battle Group, surface action groups, led by potent indigenous frontline warships, submarine, aircraft, and special forces in an offensive posture in the northern Arabian Sea. On the night of 6-7 May, the naval personnel also participated in the precision strikes on terror infrastructure alongside the Indian Army and Indian Air Force, underscoring jointness. As the campaign unfolded, forward deployment of the Indian Navy compelled Pakistani naval and air units into a defensive posture, largely confined to harbors or operating close to their coastline. Our dominance at sea created credible deterrence and held Pakistani economic trade, routes, and risks, thereby significantly contributing to the escalation control mechanism. Op Sindoor validated India's ability to respond to asymmetric provocation with deliberate, precise, and proportionate force. It demonstrated that terror infrastructure and supporting military enablers can be targeted swiftly and effectively whilst maintaining escalation dominance. The operation also highlighted the decisive role of indigenous cutting-edge technologies, platforms, systems, and equipment, including drones, layered defense systems, and counter-uncrewed aerial systems. By striking the terror hubs in the heart of Pakistan using long-range precision weapons, India effectively called the bluff on Pakistan's nuclear blackmail. The growing relevance of uncrewed and autonomous systems, as seen in the recent conflicts, reinforces the need for accelerated integration into our operational constructs. Our endeavor, therefore, remains focused on inducting these niche capabilities and constantly reviewing our concepts of operations to remain ahead of the adversary. The information domain emerged as a parallel battle space. Disinformation was effectively countered, and the whole of government approach ensured prevalence of our own strategic intent over the manufactured narratives. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, the operation demonstrated the operational dividends of the principles of J, that is, jointness, Atmanirbharta, and indigenization. Seamless integration of three services through Chiefs of Staff Committee, as Marshal Bharti just mentioned, regular meetings of all the three Director Generals of the services, aided in better situational awareness, control of escalation response, and quick decision making, enabling better actions on ground. The establishment of Joint Operation Control Center ensured synchronized military actions against the adversary. Furthermore, the seamless coordination with all national agencies, including Indian Coast Guard, intelligence and maritime agencies, ensured robust employment of the comprehensive national power. The performance of indigenous ships such as the aircraft carrier Vikrant, Kolkata and Visakhapatnam class destroyers validated the Indian Navy's investment in indigenous capability, blue water readiness, and integrated warfighting, thus reaffirming Atmanirbharta as a critical enabler for operational success. To conclude, I would like to assure the citizens of Bharat that the Indian Defence Forces, including the Indian Navy, remain ready and forward deployed. If Op Sindoor was proof of calibrated resolve, our next response will be about sustained overmatch. If challenged again, we will not merely respond, we'll shape the battle space from the outset. The Indian Navy, alongside the Indian Army and the Indian Air Force, has demonstrated capability to strike deep, strike far, and strike sure, anytime, anywhere, anyhow. Jai Hind. Jalmev yas, balmev tasya. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You have heard the then Director Generals of Operations outline their conduct of operations. The inter-service synergy during Ops Sindoor was orchestrated by the Ops Directorate at Headquarter IDS under the directions of the Chief of Staff Committee. Importantly, operations were seamlessly integrated across not just traditional domains, but also cyber, space, and information domains, marking a decisive evolution in our warfighting philosophy. Ops Sindoor demonstrated our ability to deliver integrated effects with speed, precision, and clarity of purpose, serving as a foundational step towards multi-domain operations. This capability is the result of sustained efforts over the years to build structures, processes, and capacities for executing multi-domain operations in its true sense. What we witnessed during Ops Sindoor was not just an isolated success, but the manifestation of deliberate institutional strengthening. The success of Ops Sindoor is firmly rooted in the reforms initiated by the government, including the creation of the post of the CDS. The Honorable Raksha Mantri's declaration of 2025 as the year of reforms has been pivotal in driving jointness, integration of structures, organizational processes, and the push towards Atmanirbharta. These reforms provided the enabling framework that translated into operational success. The operation also highlighted enhanced situational awareness at all levels of command,
supported by a robust joint communications architecture that enabled timely aggregation of all intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance inputs. This architecture continues to be strengthened and is now being integrated into a fully functional Joint Operations Control Center for improved joint targeting and decision-making. In the air defense domain, systems like the IACCS and the Akash Tir were integrated to provide a unified and comprehensive air situation picture. These networks have since been further reinforced, contributing to a more resilient and responsive air defense grid. We are also working towards an integrated and layered architecture to ensure seamless protection against multiple threats, vectors to include drones, loiter ammunitions, and missiles. At the operational level, the fusion of multi-sensor inputs from across the services and national agencies enabled a comprehensive situational awareness grid. The significantly compressed decision-making cycles ensured decisive outcomes. A key pillar of our progress has been the strengthening of the integrated command and control structures, supported by advanced decision support systems and data-driven processes. A gradual process of transition from a network-centric to a data-centric architecture is underway. Our multi-domain approach has expanded into new emerging domains. In the space domain, close coordination with ISRO and the Department of Space is enhancing real-time ISR and targeting capabilities. In the information and the cognitive domains, coordinated efforts with the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting during Sindoor established an effective model of civil-military fusion. Building on this, a Defense Strategic Communication Division is being established, leveraging AI-enabled tools to counter misinformation in real time. Emerging technologies have underscored the importance of unmanned and autonomous systems. We are inducting longer-range precision capabilities and advancing manned-unmanned teaming. Formulation of a national counter-UAS policy in coordination with Ministry of Home Affairs and civil aviation authorities is currently underway. Jointness continues to be reinforced through doctrinal and structural advancements. Multiple tri-service doctrines have been promulgated, complemented by initiatives as the Military Quantum Mission and other documents under the Defense Forces Vision 2047, which was released by the Honorable Raksha Mantri a few days back. On the ground, integration is translating into tangible capability through joint logistic nodes and tri-service maintenance protocols, enhancing efficiency and operational readiness. Interagency coordination has also been significantly strengthened. Synergy with the Ministry of Home Affairs and the BSF has improved coordination along the LC and the IB, while seamless integration of the Indian Coast Guard operations with that of the Indian Navy has bolstered coastal security. Engagement with national security agencies and intelligence agencies such as the DRDO, NTRO, and the wider intelligence community, along with industry, both public and private and startup, reflects a mature whole-of-nation approach aligned towards common strategic objectives. Extensive tri-service exercises and wargaming and simulations over the past year have validated and refined our multi-domain operation concepts, ensuring agility and future readiness. Today, we stand equipped with integrated capabilities, strengthened by joint structures and seamless coordination amongst the services, ministries, and government agencies, reflecting a true whole-of-nation approach. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll now have the question and answer session. Before we proceed, a few ground rules you are aware of. We will take questions in sets of 3 at a time. Please keep your questions brief and avoid multiple questions in one go so that we can cover maximum people. Also, Once nominated to answer the question, kindly introduce yourself and the media house you belong to prior to asking the question. And please restrict your questions to Operation Sindoor and the aspects covered by the general officers on the stage. General officers will now take the questions.
Parakeet AI is an AI online call assistant that gives you the answer to every question on your online call, such as, what is your biggest weakness? Click AI Help and Parakeet AI will provide an answer based on your resume and customize it for the position and the company that you're applying for. Our app can also analyze your screen and provide solutions to any coding problems that you may get during your meeting. And the best thing about it is that it remains invisible to everyone else, so you can comfortably see all the answers while sharing your screen on your online meeting. This is our brand new desktop app. It's available both on macOS and Windows, and it is the best way to use Parakeet AI. But you can also use Parakeet AI right inside your web browser without having to download our app, or even on your mobile phone by placing it in front of your computer display. Try Parakeet AI for free today.
And what are the further transformations, if you could share with us? To Marshal Bharti sir, Pakistan and China have been testing new kinds of missiles. Are we factoring in part of those air defense networks of ours to tackle those missiles? Thank you, sir.
This is Ravi Shankar from Bharat Shakti. Here. We are interacting with you with the same panel which that used to brief us last year during Operation Sindoor. That is very pleasant and reassuring as well. So सीधा सवाल पे आते हैं. पाकिस्तान ने ये कहा था, दावा किया था कि हमने भारत को बहुत नुकसान पहुंचाया. तो और इस नैरेटिव को उन्होंने वेस्टर्न मीडिया, वेस्टर्न एक्सपर्ट्स के बीच बहुत कामयाबी के साथ इस नैरेटिव को पहुंचा भी दिया. मेरा सवाल एयर मार्शल भारती से है कि इन दावों की सच्चाई क्या है? क्या आप शेयर करेंगे इन दावों में कितना दम है, भारत का कितना नुकसान हुआ था? और दूसरा, जनरल घई के साथ कि घई साहब आप ये बताएं कि ऑपरेशन सिंदूर पॉज हुआ है, आप ऐसा बता रहे हैं, लेकिन ये चल रहा है, इट्स ऑनगोइंग. तो ये किस फॉर्म में चल रहा है, इसका क्या डायमेंशन है, ये बड़ा शेयर करें प्लीज. थैंक यू.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Shivani. I'm from NewsX. Gentlemen, we all have been seeing since the past 1 year, and we've also been talking about the integrated theater commands. We are in Jaipur. It's been touted as one of the commands which will be the headquarters. And given that all of you have spoken about jointness during Operation Sindoor, how close are we to integrated theater command? So that our timelines are reduced. You mentioned it was 1 year 16 days, so we took 16 days to in fact strategize this entire operation. Do you believe that we can minimize or compress that number further in future wars? And also, how decisive was India? Because when we are looking at escalation ladders across the world in this geopolitical world, India was very decisive. So what helped India actually make or take that call that we decided that the enemy had to come to the negotiating table?
Please, sir, kindly.
Okay, Ajay, you asked the question about transformation. So you're correct. The chief has repeatedly spoken about this ongoing transformation. You mentioned a few Devyastra batteries. You also mentioned the Ashni platoons. There are more. There is the Shaktiban regiment. You saw the Bhairavs being paraded on Kartavya Path this year on the Republic Day. Definitely these transformations are ongoing. I will not go into the specific numbers of how many of these organizations are being raised. That is an operational detail, so we'll not go there. But a significant number is already being raised. Their roles and tasks are very, very clearly delineated. While we've given a thought, so when you speak about the Divyastra, I don't mind telling everybody here that that's related to the artillery, as is the Shaktiban. The Ashni platoons are related to counter UAS, and specifically with respect to infantry battalions being organized and equipped for the counter UAS role. There is more ongoing thought as far as these transformations are going on. So we are now also thinking about such transformations in the armored corps, for instance, in the mechanized infantry, in the aviation, just to name a few more sectors. And as we go on, you will hear us bring out more details. But all these deliberations are at a very advanced stage. So that is, Ajay, to answer your question about the transformation. As far as Ravi Shankar from Bharat Shakti, Ravi, आपने जो सवाल पूछा है about in what form is Operation Sindoor going on? देखिए, एयर मार्शल भारती ने बताया कि पॉज हो गया. आई थिंक एक सिविलियन अंडरस्टैंडिंग होती है कि लड़ाई में सिर्फ एक दूसरे के ऊपर गोलाबारी होती है. देयर इज काइनेटिक एक्शन, वेदर स्टैंड ऑफ और कन्वेंशनल वेयर पीपल कम क्लोज. लेकिन ऑपरेशन का जारी होना मतलब इज ऑल्सो मेकिंग प्रेपरेशंस. और जो तैयारियां चल रही, अजय बैनर्जी ने पूछा सवाल कि ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन कैसे चल रहा है. वो ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन क्यों चल रहा है? क्योंकि कुछ लेसन्स हमने इम्बाइब किए ऑपरेशन सिंदूर से. उन लेसन्स की वजह से हमें लगा कि हमने कुछ बदलाव करने हैं अपने स्ट्रक्चर्स में, अपनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस में, अपनी इक्विपिंग में. तो वो एक तैयारी चल रही है. उसके अलावा जो डिप्लॉयमेंट्स हैं उस पर सोच विचार चल रहा है. एक्चुअल ट्रिगर अगर होगा और काइनेटिक एक्शन की जरूरत पड़ेगी तो वो भी होगा. सो इस हिसाब से ये ऑपरेशन अभी भी जारी है और जारी रहेगा. क्योंकि जैसे मैंने अपने स्टेटमेंट में भी बताया, इंडियाज वॉर अगेंस्ट टेरर विल गो ऑन. सो देयरफॉर द ऑपरेशन विल रिमेन इन प्रोग्रेस फॉर एज लॉन्ग एज इट इज रिक्वायर्ड. आई विल नाउ रिक्वेस्ट एयर मार्शल भारती, जो आपका दूसरा सवाल था लॉसेज और डैमेज के बारे में कि पाकिस्तानीज का ये दावा है, उसका जवाब एयर मार्शल भारती दें.
ओके, एक एक करके. सबसे पहले ट्रिब्यून आपने चाहा कि आई शुड आंसर पाक एंड चाइना टेस्टिंग न्यू काइंड्स ऑफ मिसाइल्स. सो व्हाट आर वी डूइंग अबाउट इट? Of course, see, we are continuously doing the environment scan. Okay, and that's our job. All right. And whatever requires to be done, we put in motion as to be always ahead, okay, of their capabilities. And between the two, of course, the dynamics are different between Pakistan and China. But we are continuously factoring in. And if I could support that argument with certain projects. Okay. You would remember we have already contracted for the S-400s. Okay. Some units were still yet to fetch in. So they are fetching in now. So that is one input. We are also working on indigenous systems like Kusha, which you would be aware of, and our DRDO is working on that, and which we hope that it will be available to us in near future. As I said, the Honorable Prime Minister has already conveyed the direction for Sudarshan Chakra, so we are working towards that. As also of our own indigenous air-to-air missile Astra, so we are trying to improve on that. Various other projects, QRSAM. So it's a continuous process, and it's not that we don't articulate in the open media as to what all we are doing, but lots is happening, and rest assured that we aim to be ahead of their capabilities. So that is our focus. As far as second question from here, भारत का कितना नुकसान हुआ है, तो आपने देखा है नुकसान के तौर पर they have not been able to inflict any major damage onto our side. Okay, ना तो हमारे कोई military infrastructure damage हुआ है, ना much of civilian structures. So whatever they came with, okay, be in terms of missiles, be in terms of loiter munitions, be in terms of other unmanned systems. We were able to neutralize that with our integrated approach and integrated ICCS, Akash Tir and IMSAS, okay, that we have alluded to earlier. So whatever they may say, remember, narratives and rhetoric do not give you victory. Victory is measured by hard facts, and hard facts we have given out to you earlier, 1 year, starting from 1 year hence, and in between also in various forums, it has been given out to you all. And what are the hard facts? The hard facts are that we struck and decimated their 9 terrorist camps on the 7th of May. Proof is there for everybody to see. The hard facts and the ground reality is that we struck 11 of their airfields. The ground reality is that we destroyed 13 of their aircraft, either on ground or in the air, including one high-value airborne asset at a record distance of 300 kilometers plus. So that is the hard fact. So take your pick. आपको क्या विश्वास करना है और क्या नहीं विश्वास करना है. और तीसरा और कोई सवाल था? Okay, thank you.
Shivani, before I ask General Zubin to answer your question about theater commands, you also said that what was it so compelling that we did, which forced the Pakistanis to come to the negotiating table? What compelled them? You've just heard Air Marshal Bharti give out the statistics. If I was to add the damage that we caused on the line of control, for instance, inadvertently, their honors and awards list, which was out in the internet domain, told us that so many of those awards were given posthumously. So the numbers that they suffered on the line of control in the exchanges that followed, they lost more than 100 soldiers. That number is in excess of 100. 100 terrorists were what were killed in those 9 terrorist camps. So there was innumerable amount of damage, which compelled them. And at the end of the day, if the Pakistanis were to make the same amount of investment in their battle fighting ability as much as they do in the narrative, I think they would have fared much better. That's advice that they could take. Zubin?
Shivani, you asked this about where are we in the theater commands. And so, you see, you heard the Chief of Defense Staff in his various talks bring out that this is at the final stages and a lot of work has been done towards that. But I would like, and that's a decision of the government, but I would like to bring out over here that just raising of the theater commands is not the aim. It is what has happened as a background work in terms of jointness, integration, because that forms the bedrock and the fabric of theater commands. So here we have, there are numerous tasks under jointness and integration. To give you an exact number, 197 tasks in domains of operation, intelligence, op logistics, human resource, regulations, which form that bedrock. Towards that, some of these tasks are to be completed before the theaters to be formed and some after the formation of the theaters. And that's going on at a very fast pace. There is a lot of work which has been done. If you just as an example see what happened in Op Sindoor itself, was not an one-off and overnight in a synergy which happened. It was an institutional work. And the formation of the JOCC, Joint Operation Control Center, fusion of ISR resources of the services, decision-making processes are all institutional work which has laid that foundation which will happen for the theater commands. So therefore, whenever the theater commands get announced, which is the prerogative of the government of India, we are ready to form that bedrock. And is there was any other question you have? That was it. Yeah, that's it. Okay.
I think we can go in the next set of questions.
I just want to, I'm itching to respond to, amplify further about Shivani, your question regarding, how decisive and why could we be decisive? That we have all three have clearly reiterated that a clear and precise political mandate was there with us and operational freedom was given to us. And we were very, very clear at the initial stages that we were to neutralize the terror infrastructure. The second part of it, militarily, we had formulated at the CDS and COSC level, it's a Chairman Chief of Staff Committee level, a clearly defined escalation control mechanism wherein we were to look at calibrated and graded response to each event. So once this terror infrastructure was neutralized and thereafter they did some action, and that mirror escalation at a harder level and that the joint integrated operations by military actions by all three forces probably impacted the minds of the political and military leaders of Pakistan. And that's why the Pak DGMO had to approach DGMO Indian Army pleading for ceasefire. That is the main reason.
So can we go on the next, sir? Next, we can have next set of sections, questions. I'm seeing your placards. We'll take them one by one. Say placard number 19, 57, 76. And please listen to the questions. If you have similar question, kindly add on. May I request 19, please? Yeah, please.
I'm Mayank. I work for Times Now. My question is, without raising a doubt about the collusion which was between Pakistan and China, can we get to understand what was the level, even if it was intelligence sharing, or what kind of a collusion was between Pakistan and China? That's my question. I request if answers can come from all four of you, or because that would add to articulations in a different manner. Thank you so much.
57, please.
Sir, I'm Ajit Dubey from the ANI, sir. Sir, my question is to Jal Ghai, Marshal Bharti and Admiral Pramod. Sir, when soon after the operations got over, the Deputy Chief of Army, he said that this was a unique war in a way that we were fighting three adversaries in one border, where the Chinese were providing the weapons, intelligence, satellite communication, satellite coverage, everything to the Pakistanis, and that Turkey was providing them with drones. So, how are we preparing for this kind of a war? And was this thought earlier, like we have been hearing about two-front war, but fighting three adversaries in one front? Was that ever thought about, and how is it being planned to be countered in future? And Bharti sir, you talked about the acquisition of the S-400s and Kusha. Can you give us the timelines about by when the S-400s remaining two squadrons are coming to join the Air Force, and the 5 squadrons of Kusha and this S-400s which we are going to sign in future? And Pramod sir, what is the plan to tackle air defense threats from the maritime theater? Is there any thinking in that direction? Thank you.
76, please.
Good afternoon, sir. Rahul Singh this side from Hindustan Times. So my question is for General Ghai. So since Operation Sindoor, the genesis was a terror attack, and you talked about the kind of infrastructure you destroyed, 9 camps across the LC, across the IB. So if you could give us your assessment of the current terror infrastructure across the border, the number of camps, how deep are they located, what has happened to the camps that you destroyed? Have any camps come up there? Have the camps moved in deeper? The number of terrorists that are being trained there, do you see any activity happening in terms of a renewed effort to push these people in? So basically an assessment of terror infrastructure across the borders.
Anyone has got a similar kind of question, you can please ask so that the generals can ask. Yeah, please.
हाय सर, मैं मनीष हूँ इंडिया टीवी से। मेरा सिमिलर क्वेश्चन है राहुल सर से रिलेटेड ही है। क्योंकि ये पूरा वेस्टर्न बॉर्डर पे खास तौर पे जो 7 टारगेट्स आपके थे, उन टारगेट्स की इस समय की कंडीशन अगर सैटेलाइट इमेजेस से देखते हैं तो काफ़ी कुछ चेंज हुआ है। तो नंबर ऑफ टेररिस्ट जो खास तौर पे इन एरियाज में है, चाहे वो जम्मू कश्मीर के ठीक सामने के एरियाज हों या फिर नीचे की तरफ, उनकी अभी क्या सिचुएशन है? और जो स्पॉट किए गए थे, जैसे आपने भी अभी बताया कि नंबर ऑफ टेररिस्ट किल्ड इन दैट पर्टिकुलर, उसके बाद से लेकर अभी तक आप क्या देख रहे हैं? क्या वो ह्यूमन शीट फिर से लेना शुरू कर रहे हैं? क्या वो डेप्थ एरिया की तरफ चले गए हैं? क्या वो इन्फिल्ट्रेशन अटेम्प्ट या बाकी और जगह ये कोशिश कर रहे हैं पूरे एरियाज में?
Okay, so before we go to the questions about collusivity and timelines for some of the Air Force equipment that Ajit asked, I'll answer these questions about terrorist infrastructure and terrorists. So Rahul and Manish, as far as numbers are concerned, look, traditionally we've identified terror launch pads, terror camps, terror infrastructure across the line of control. And we are fairly well aware, our intelligence agencies usually have very good information about these details. So there are certain clusters across the line of control. I do not want to name these for the sake of confidentiality, but there are certain clusters across Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir, and today even across the international boundary, that we associate with terrorists. The dynamic nature of these launch pads and camps is a peculiar aspect. So, as you are suggesting, from time to time, the numbers will differ. The very nature and geography, or should I say the layout of these terror camps and infrastructure also continues to change. What's happened to the 9 that we hit, at least as far as the 2 more famous ones are concerned, they've been in the news. There has been money that has been pummeled in to try and reconstruct those. As far as the other 7 are concerned, we have a fair idea of what the numbers are, but it's safe to presume, and I said this in my statement, Air Marshal Bharti reiterated that no sanctuary across the line of control is safe. We will hit everything. He spoke about depths. We will go after everything. And I think that's been made clear in the new normal that the Prime Minister stated last year. But the conditions, the timing, and the method will be ours. That's what he said when he spoke about the new normal. So these are the 3 aspects. So therefore, the nature and numbers in these terror camps may keep fluctuating. I think people on the other side are also wise. So yes, some of these camps and launch pads have moved further in the depth where they feel that they will be safer. But like I said, no sanctuary is safe. So this is as far as about the terror is concerned. Now, before I hand over to the others about the collusivity, I just want to say that, look, the fact that Pakistan and China, in their own words, have a relationship that is deeper than the seas, higher than the mountains, that's a given. The fact that Pakistan has 80% of its military equipment of Chinese origin is a given. Whether we are fighting against 3 adversaries on the same border, be it Turkey or China or Pakistan, look, you play against the team that turns up on the park. So that's not something that should worry us so much. It's not something which is in our control. What is in our control?
This is an ad for a free class on data science. And here's why I think this is something that you shouldn't miss. The data science market is booming, growing at 26% every year. And by 2026, India alone has approximately 11 million roles that require data science and analytics skills. Scalar's free live data science class gives you practical information about what a career as a data professional looks like. If you've ever been curious about how data drives the world and what it takes to be a part of this quickly evolving industry, this is your sign. Tap below, join Scalar's free class, and see what your career looks like with data.
Bharti sir?
Thank you, Rajiv. I think he has said all that needed to be said about collusivity and what did we expect, okay, with the kind of equipment that they operate, and from both sides, okay, be it from our northern adversary, northern neighbor, or be it from Turkey. All right.